Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alex, if you're new. There's so much content. There's so much content. There's so much content. Does it make anyone else just like sick to their stomach? Me contributing to it right now. Recently, I have been like, I'll get on the computer or I'll open up my phone. I'll go to YouTube. Obviously, I'm a freaking YouTuber, so I have to interact with the app quite a bit. Or I'll just go on Instagram. Mostly, honestly, I think it's mostly YouTube for me right now. But opening TikTok, opening up Instagram, going on Facebook. Why? I don't know. I'm immediately overwhelmed by how much content there is. I said this in one of my previous like talkie videos where it just feels like everyone's an influencer, where everyone is putting out content. It feels so overwhelming to me right now. Like, I open up YouTube and I immediately have to close it because I literally feel physically sick to my stomach when I look at a thumbnail. I hope that my thumbnail isn't doing this to you, but if it is, very relatable. Recently, something that I've been thinking about a lot is the fact that it's almost impossible in this day and age to focus on one thing at a time. I'm curious to hear how many of you relate to this, like how often you are being stimulated by some kind of audio or visual medium. If I'm doing the dishes, if I'm doing laundry, if I'm cleaning, if I'm walking around the house, if I'm making like food, you know, anything where I'm like using my hands. I've got my freaking AirPods in and I'm listening to something. I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to a YouTube video, I'm listening to a tutorial, I'm listening to a vlog, I'm listening to music. Music, you know what, honestly, the least of our worries. Personally, I think if everybody switched over to music, we'd all be a lot better. But constant stimulation where maybe it's not just audio. I kind of feel like just audio is a little bit lesser of an evil, but when there's a video accompaniment, it just pulls your focus away from other things. And that's something that I've been doing a lot recently. And I want to know how many of you, like, do you always have the earphones in? Always? Are you listening to something always? Obviously, that became like way more prevalent with social media and technology. Like, I remember, you know, growing up, I listened to music a lot. I was always listening to music. But when I was growing up, listening to me, I sound so old. I'm 32, by the way. Listening to music, I would just be blasting music. I would be drawing, I would be painting, I would be like doing something creative in my room, you know, when I was a kid at my parents' home. I remember going on like long car rides to like my grandparents, and I would have like headphones on and I'd be listening to music. So I guess I was always kind of like doing this sort of thing in a different way. I think that it was a little bit more conducive to like creativity, maybe. I don't know why I feel that way with music. Other things where you're hearing a conversation, where you're hearing two people speaking to each other, or just one, even if it's just one person speaking, it's not the kind of like zone out vibe that just listening to music is. Another thing that I've noticed with especially like commentary content, this is literally commentary content that I'm putting out right now. I'm commenting about commenting. It's like when people react to someone reacting to something reacting to something. It's just like, I lost my train of thought because I realized what a hypocrite I am, but commentary content, there's so much of it out there. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of it that I absolutely love. I really love T Noir. Like, I love her so much. She's so entertaining, and I think her insights are like really interesting. She presents a lot of things that like the way that I grew up and who I am never would have even like made connections. So I really appreciate that kind of thing, like being able to connect with different people or hear different points of view, all of that kind of stuff, so valuable. Obviously, I have a job on social media, so obviously I value it. I do spend a lot of time talking about the negative stuff, but this is just something that's been on my mind recently. I guess I've just been noticing that all of the content out there is really like, it's causing more of a physical reaction where I literally feel like nauseous looking at it. And I'm just like, oh, I need to turn this off. Like, I literally need to turn this off and I need to like look at a leaf. Like, I need to like see a leaf right now. I took notes for this just because it was something that I was thinking about. I was like jotting stuff down. It literally says, content makes me fucking sick, overwhelming, sick to my stomach. Thumbnails offensive. But literally I was on, my boyfriend and I were having this conversation about like the algorithm and you know how it tailors things to your liking. So if you're watching something, then it's going to keep showing you a lot of like that kind of stuff. This always happens on TikTok. I will stop at a parrot video, okay? I like parrots. Birds are interesting. And then all I see is parrots. Parrot, 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 parrot. And I'm like, can we like switch it up a little bit? Like, this is the only thing I'm allowed to see now? Because I watched that one parrot video. That's very overwhelming. I've also mentioned in other videos in this vein of trying to trick the algorithm so that you don't get sick of seeing the same thing over and over and over again. But that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about seeing the same thing over and over again. I'll go on my boyfriend's YouTube where, we watch very different things. And I'll be looking at like sports thumbnails and shit. And I'm just like, I can't look at a thumbnail. If I look at another thumbnail, I'm gonna explode. This is just where I'm coming from right now. I guess it's just a rant. But I just wanna know from all the people of all the age groups. I know I have like a relatively wide range. A lot of people who comment are much older, and I can only imagine from your point of view, like growing up and then all of a sudden there's just like social media and all of that stuff. But I'm really interested in hearing from people who are younger, who have been growing up with like the Zoomers, who have been growing up with technology the way that you have, because each of us generationally have had such a different experience with it. Like obviously different times in our lives, we've had like a certain amount of technology. So the way that our brains kind of like interact with it and consume the content, I think is very different. I've heard from a lot of like Zoomer age group people that it's like you need that constant stimulation. You can't focus on one thing without something else happening, which is very interesting to me. It does feel like TikTok, things like TikTok, the short form stuff, the quick, we're moving quick, scroll to the next thing, really does cause that. I wonder if anyone has ever been in this situation. Like, I am such a multitasker now. I think I always kind of have been, but I do find that it's like leveled way the fuck up. Where like I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm like folding clothes. Like that's not even a fucking exaggeration. I'm trying to brush my teeth, and then I'm also like trying to put my pillow in the pillowcase, and I constantly have to remind myself, bro, take a second. Just take a second. Just focus on brushing your teeth. Like, it's okay to be in silence. Like, just be for a second. This is basically a video where I'm talking to myself and I'm saying, just be quiet, maybe meditate a little bit more, and go outside because you're going insane. And since I work in this field, I obviously have to be exposed to it more. And I'm out here wondering what the people are doing. What are the people doing? People who are not like working in this field, so you don't have to be on social media all day long. Do you feel like it rules your world? Are you good about balance? And how old are you? Like, well, not exactly, but like if you could give me just like I'm this generation. I talked about in my Ariana Grande video, I thought about filming a response to a lot of the comments, but like why? So many of the comments were really, really great. There are incredible people out there. It's just you always focus on like the crazies. In that video, what was I talking about? In that video, I was talking about how like social media changes things and you have to adapt. It's true. I guess right now what I'm asking is, how do you adapt? How do you adapt? Because I want to know. I went through a very long period of time where I was like super obsessed with wellness journals. I had 3 that I was using like every single day. And then I just kind of got overwhelmed by that. It was just like a lot. So I kind of switched it up. Now I'm only going to be using one for a little while. Only using one wellness journal. Again, because it was like, it's like I was doing it with my wellness. I wasn't just focusing on one thing. I literally had 3 freaking notebooks that I was opening up and having to go between. And it's like, bro, literally just focus on one thing. I watched Bo Burnham's Inside for like the 8th time. I just think he's such a fucking genius and he nailed so many things on the head. And like, especially from a creator's standpoint, obviously he started on YouTube. This was essentially, okay, this is rude. That's very rude. Like I'm in the middle of like a deep thought right now. That special was essentially like like a very impressive YouTube video. You know, he filmed it all himself. He edited it himself. He wrote it all himself. everything. I can't remember which song it is. I think is it the opening song about like, look, I made you some content. If you haven't seen it, you absolutely have to see it. It is, I mean, I've said this before, it affected me. Like it hit hard and close to home. Absolute genius. Funny, sad, all the things. The guilt and wrestling with his own like hypocrisy of feeding into the content, benefiting from from putting content out, but then also criticizing content was something that was just like, yes. Like as someone who works in social media, who has seen a lot of this stuff, and then you start to like self-reflect, and then you start to realize that like so much content can be so incredibly damaging to people, and I'm sitting here making a video about it. It hits so close to home, but it's like, how else do you talk about it with people who are all over the world, you know? When you're a person who has a YouTube channel. I think this video is just a PSA to turn shit off and go outside and just like live a normal life. I don't know. I feel like the people who, the like really healthy, rational people already know that. The people who need this message are me and the crazy people who will comment something like, you privileged bitch, you're contributing to all of this, and how dare you think that you have any right to tell us how to like interact with the internet or something. I'm calling it. There's gonna be a comment like that. Kind of love it. Very, very predictable. I suggest that a lot of you who hate watch get a little more creative with it. You know? You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. If you're creative, I respect you. But if you say the same old boring stuff, you get nothing from me. So basically, to finish this video, I'm gonna say, turn it off, please. Go outside, go sit and read a book, be a human, play with your pet, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Because we need to, and we need to remind each other of that. We can come here, we can chat, we can have a great time, but we also have to like, put it away. Just get it out of here. Get it out. That was the only point to this video. I'm over here talking to myself, and I'm gonna share it with you guys because somebody else might need to hear it. That's it. That's it for me. That's it. I'm out. Goodbye. Don't even subscribe. Literally don't. Don't do it. Just shut it off.